This is the Crisscross Show. I'm back and it feels good to be back, and I have a loaded episode for you today. I'm actually going to explain why I've been out. I'm going to give you a life update as well as updates for future episodes because I'm trying to come back on YouTube at least once a week. I'm also going to talk about the NBA buzz, like the Russell Westbrook trade to the Lakers. I realize I've been out for 2 months. I have yet to cover that. I'm also going to talk about other NBA news on a couple of teams, not every team, because that would take about 2 hours for me. I'm also going to give you my NFL predictions. I know week 1 was last week and we're entering week 2 already, or actually we are in week 2 already, but I'm going to give you my predictions because it is 18 weeks now as opposed to 17 weeks now in the NFL. And I'm also going to get into some sports bets here. I'll give you my NFL plus minuses for the week. Anyways, enjoy. Okay. So before I begin any of my segments, before I took a 2-month hiatus off my YouTube channel, you guys know that before every episode, I love to show off a jersey because, again, I do own a lot of NBA jerseys. Now, this jersey is a new jersey that came in, I think, last week. It is the new LeBron James number 6 jersey. It officially came in the mail last week. I was one of the first to order it. I wanted to order it from the Lakers team store, but it wasn't supposed to ship until October. And usually when they do that, they delay it and delay it and delay it and delay it. So, I really wanted it quickly. Nike came out with these. I got this one on Nike.com. Shout out to Nike, even though I paid with my own money. But shout out to Nike for having this out and getting it to me within 2 days. So, yeah, thanks to Nike, and that's my jersey of the episode. Okay, so I've been off for about 2 months, and the reason is because I've been really, really busy with a bunch of other things in my life. So with working over the summer and the school year getting back, it's been kind of hard to just do any episodes in general. Also, being in grad school has been very, very tough because there's a lot of work that requires me to do the work at nighttime after school. So to film episodes, it's a little late when I start filming, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to be editing at like 1 a.m. So there you go. Also, some other life updates. If you haven't seen my Instagram posts on the Crisscross Show, or even my regular Instagram, or my regular one, I don't know what you call that. But I did receive a package from Nike. It was the Space Jam 2, a new legacy locker that a lot of famous people got, like Shannon Sharp, and I do believe Aaron Donald did receive some, and a couple of other famous people did receive them. I was a little jealous at them, but then mine came about a month later, so it got lost somewhere in the shipping. So, but it did come to me. It came with a pair of shoes, a new Xbox, a controller, a jersey, and just a nice little note for me from Nike. It was really much appreciated. I got that, early August, so about a month ago already that I've had that. It's just been an amazing package. And again, it's really great for me because to get a free package from Nike, especially that only a select few got, meant a lot to me. Also, I've been really into biking, and I competed in 2 races. The first one was the Naperville Duathlon, sorry. And I did place 15th of 99 people. It was my first ever race. Actually, my first actual competition against other people since 2015. So it's been about 6 years since I've actually competed either in a race or in just in general competition. So it was nice to kind of do that. I did race in a mountain racer bike. And then I did race in another race about 2 weeks ago. It was the Pleasant Prairie, and I did come back and I actually won that race, which was, a great accomplishment. It just meant a lot to me. I did bring a new bike. I did bring an actual road bike for that one. So, the bike difference really did make a huge difference. And also the experience from the Naperville really helped me kind of prepare a little bit easier for that race. So those are some life updates as well. Also, school started, so I've been kind of busy with that. But those are some life updates in regards to me and as to why I've been so busy, because I've been so busy training for the bike duathlons that I haven't really had a chance to just kind of hop on here and just give you my thoughts on sports. I haven't given you my thoughts on sports, whether it's on my Instagram or other social media platforms, but I am back and hopefully going to be back every at least once a week. Okay, so the Russell Westbrook trade happened in late July, and it was a huge trade because it just made the Lakers a big three. If you really want to consider LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Russell Westbrook a big three, I do. And initially, I didn't like it, right? Because you gave away Kyle Kuzma, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and Montrezl Harrell, technically the young guys, for an older player who's, had his surgeries, has kind of lost a little bit of his athleticism throughout the years in Russell Westbrook. But the more I begin to marinate and just kind of think about it, I started to slowly like it. Now I'll tell you why I didn't like it at first, and then I'll tell you why I liked it. No, I didn't like it because, first of all, Russell Westbrook isn't known as a shooter. He's more known as a late game ball hog, as you would say, and the guy who's just stat pads and who just is very single-minded throughout the game, especially in a close game. If you don't believe me, Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook played for a couple of years together, and during the late game situations, Russell Westbrook always had the ball in his hand and always just went for it himself, as opposed to giving it to Kevin Durant, who's 7 feet and can shoot the lights out of the ball. So again, that kind of sticks with him. And again, Russell Westbrook is a hard worker, but sometimes he gets a little careless and a little selfish with the ball. And that's initially why I didn't like it. But with all that being said, the more I realized that I like this trade because it helps out LeBron James, who's entering his 19th season, who's played a ton of basketball. He's going to help him out a lot during the regular season. He's going to take a lot of the ball pressure off of him. Russell Westbrook is crazy athletic. He can definitely go 120% in the regular season and just kind of take the load off LeBron, help Anthony Davis out. Again, he's a good pick and roller. He's a good lobber. He averaged 11.4 assists last year with the Wizards. So just imagine him with Anthony Davis, Dwight Howard, Carmelo Anthony, those guys that he can pass it to and they can lob it or shoot it. It's going to be awesome to see Russell Westbrook on the Lakers because I think it's going to be fast. They're going to play fast and they're just going to outscore you and everything else. And I really like this for the regular season. I think in the playoffs, with Russell Westbrook taking a lot of weight off LeBron, LeBron's going to have enough energy to go into the playoffs, as well as Anthony Davis. Because again, we know Russell Westbrook can carry a team to the playoffs. We saw it in 2017 when he did that with the Oklahoma City Thunder. He can carry a team to the playoffs by himself, single-handedly. But now that he has LeBron and Anthony Davis, that's just going to elevate him a lot more. And again, he's a hard worker. He works his butt off. And that's something that the other players that they got during the offseason are going to see, and they're going to try to match that energy. So I think it's going to be great. I think early on they may struggle chemistry-wise because they did basically change the entire lineup other than LeBron, Anthony Davis, Talen Horton-Tucker. And I know they got Rondo and Dwight Howard back, but again, a lot of new pieces. They realistically only kept those three from last year. So it's going to take a while, and maybe during the season when they're, 12-6 and everyone's like, oh, I don't think this is working out, they're going to gel and it's going to work. I guarantee it. So the Russell Westbrook trade, it's grown on me, and I like it now. Okay, so other than the Russell Westbrook trade, which I had a lot of thoughts about, and I still have a lot of thoughts about, I want to jump to a couple of other teams. Now, specifically two, because I think these two had a huge offseason over the summer. Now, I'm not going to talk about Phoenix, Brooklyn, Denver, Utah, and all those other teams because I think they kind of stayed the same and no real drastic change. They didn't make a real drastic change. So I'm going to kind of avoid those teams and just kind of talk about the two teams that I thought really had a huge offseason. One is the Chicago Bulls. Now, the Chicago Bulls, as of recently, have grown on me. Growing up, I never really was a big Chicago Bulls fan because I really wasn't a big Derrick Rose fan. I actually didn't like Derrick Rose at all, especially during his days with competing against LeBron, and everyone thought he was going to overthrow LeBron, but it never happened. And I thought if Derrick Rose stayed healthy, he wouldn't have overthrown LeBron. I mean, it's blasphemy. But anyways, the Chicago Bulls, their offseason acquisitions were Lonzo Ball, Alex Caruso. They got DeMar DeRozan, Derrick Jones Jr., and I think they drafted a pretty good player. I forgot his name. But recently, the Chicago Bulls were kind of like a weird thing. Like, they would grab young talent, but you wouldn't really know what they were doing with the young talent. So, like, Lauri Markkanen a couple years ago, they kind of misused him. And also, he was injury prone, so you didn't really see much development from there. Kobe White, not a huge fan of him because I think late in games, he shoots too much and it's just kind of a ball hog. Late in games, even though he can shoot, he's just, you don't want the ball in his hands because you'd rather have it in Zach LaVine's hands. Anyways, I like their offseason because I think they got a bunch of good players with high basketball IQ, quality defenders, and just a young team that kind of got together and wants to prove that they're pretty good. They're a team of players that want to prove themselves. So Alex Caruso is a proven player. He came from the G League and, obviously won the championship with the Lakers 2 years ago. Lonzo Ball, everyone said he couldn't shoot, and now he can shoot a lot better, and he's a better defender. Vucevic, who came from Orlando last offseason, or during midseason, and, everyone was kind of like, oh, he's just pretty good. He's not, like, great. Zach LaVine, who's proving year in, year out that he's a good scorer, that he can handle the ball and everything. And I really like the way the Bulls have kind of formed and gelled because I think that they finally have a direction. Now, they're about a superstar away, in my opinion, from actually competing in the Eastern Conference. I do believe they will get a 5th, 6th, or 7th seed this year. But again, I think that they will struggle early on because it's a whole new team. A lot of their core pieces are new, and I think it's going to take a while for them to kind of gel. And it's going to be a fun year for the Chicago Bulls. And that's just my opinion on the Bulls. I really like what they did this offseason. I think they got a couple of good players with high basketball IQ, a lot of young proven and players that need to prove something in the league. And it's just going to be exciting to see the Chicago Bulls this year, and I'm a fan of it. Obviously, I still have the Lakers number 1, but the Bulls are definitely in that top 5 teams that I'm going to be looking forward to watching. The second team that I want to talk about that had a huge offseason, in my opinion, were the Miami Heat. Now, the Miami Heat came off last season coming off the NBA Finals. Now, they had a disappointing season. They did make, I think, the 7th seed or 6th seed or something like that, and faced the Milwaukee Bucks. Obviously got swept and so forth. Now, the Miami Heat had a short offseason. They also dealt with COVID stuff throughout the year, so their team was kind of inconsistent. Everyone was in and out of the lineup and so forth. Now, the Miami Heat got Markieff Morris from the Lakers. They also got Kyle Lowry from Toronto. I think those two players, and also they got PJ Tucker from the championship Milwaukee Bucks team. I think adding those 3 players along with their core of Bam, Jimmy, Tyler, and Duncan, I think that's going to gel well. Kyle Lowry is tough. I think he led the league in charges 2 years in a row or something like that. Also, Markieff Morris is a good, solid player that can get you rebounds, that can defend, and is nasty down low. PJ Tucker, we know what he's done these past couple of years in defending LeBron and defending Kevin Durant. I mean, the man needs a raise during the playoffs because of all the assignments he's given, and he's proven to kind of hold his own against those players. Obviously, those players get their numbers against them, but he's proven to kind of wear them out, tire them out throughout the game. There's at least a game where he's just kind of there, and his influence or his presence is well known. So those offseason acquisitions for the Miami Heat will prove to be a lot and meaningful as the season kind of progresses, because those guys are nasty defenders and they're just, players that can kind of get the 50-50 balls. And again, they're really, really, really strong and tough. So the Miami Heat, again, is known to be a tough team, is always prided themselves on their defense and their culture. And I think that those 3 players that they got over the offseason are going to prove to be very good and very successful for the Miami Heat. I give the Miami Heat a 3rd, or 4th, or 5th seed, depending on kind of how the season goes for them, if there's still COVID protocols and all that other stuff. but I think the Miami Heat will be competing for a top spot in the Eastern Conference this year. Okay, so this next segment is my NFL predictions. Now, we have passed week 1 and we are into week 2. Thursday night football did happen for week 2 already, so we're kind of already into week 2, but I do want to give you my predictions for the NFL season. I want to give you the division winners. I'm not going to give you anything just yet. Again, I should have done this last week when I, did the records and everything, but based off of week 1 and based off of the offseason and everything that's happened so far, I want to give you my NFL predictions, specifically my division winners. And I'll tell you why they'll win the division as well. And we're going to start off with the AFC West, and I'm going to give it to the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, the Kansas City Chiefs are a very tough team to beat. Obviously, we saw them week 1 against Cleveland. They were down as much as, I think, 12 at some point in the third quarter, and they ended up winning the game because, again, Patrick Mahomes just starts throwing the ball wherever, and someone's going to catch it. It doesn't matter where he throws it. There's always going to be a receiver downfield that's going to catch that ball. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, there was a play where Patrick Mahomes was falling down, and he just threw the ball, I think, 40 yards down, and Tyreek Hill caught it, and they got a first down, and, kind of that was it for the Cleveland Browns. So I'm going to give the Kansas City Chiefs because I think that their offense comes literally whenever it wants, and it doesn't matter what point of the game their offense is going to come, and it's going to come at you just like the 2016 Warriors, where it's just going to start raining threes, and you can't really do much about it other than put your hand up and just hope that someone misses. And I think that their division is pretty tough. I think the Chargers are tough. The Raiders are always tough at the beginning of the year. And the Broncos with Teddy Bridgewater as their quarterback should be solid. But I think the Chiefs are ultimately going to win that division going away. Now, the AFC North. I'm going to give the Cleveland Browns the AFC North just because I think that Baltimore and Pittsburgh didn't really make any huge changes. I think Baltimore did sign a couple of players, a couple of receivers, but I think that Baltimore, especially after seeing them against the Raiders, I think it was, and how they lost to them where Lamar Jackson made some silly plays, and you didn't really see much progression from last season, except, I understand it's one game, but you didn't see it, and you kind of saw him struggle towards the end of the game, and Cleveland's defense has improved, and Pittsburgh defense has improved, so I don't give Baltimore the division. Pittsburgh, I think going away, Cleveland will ultimately run away with it, because I think Cleveland's schedule is a little bit easier than Pittsburgh, and I think Pittsburgh, throughout the season, they kind of wear out, and I think that they will wear out at some point in the season. I think they're going to have a strong start, and everyone's going to think that Pittsburgh is going to win the division, but I think Cleveland is ultimately going to win because they got more talented players, and just overall, next to the Kansas City Chiefs, have a better complete lineup in the AFC. So Cleveland will win the AFC North. The AFC South, I'm going to go with the Colts. Now, if Carson Wentz can stay healthy, I will give it to the Colts going away because I think Houston has no direction. Jaguars have Trevor Lawrence, but I think they have no one around them to kind of support him. And Urban Meyer, why is he in the NFL? I don't know. And the Titans, I just think the Titans will kind of show at times that they're a pretty good team, but ultimately will just kind of fall in close games. And so I think the Colts, this is their division to take. Frank Wright has Carson Wentz if he ever plays. And I think that Indianapolis is going to run away with the AFC South. The AFC East, I do believe the Bills will win it. And I do believe the Patriots will give them a run for their money throughout the season. I do believe the Dolphins will also give them a run for their money as well. But again, the quarterback situation with the Dolphins, you don't know if they're going to get Deshaun Watson or if they're going to keep Tua. The Jets, Lord help them. I don't know what's going on with the Jets, but hopefully something happens with the Jets. But I think the Patriots will give the Bills a run for their money. Mac Jones is said to be looking really, really good. That's why they released Cam Newton, because Mac Jones looked really, really good at practice. And again, he played pretty well against the Dolphins as well in week 1. But again, just some silly mistakes towards the end of the game. But I think the Bills will ultimately run away with it because they just have a better football team. So those are my AFC predictions, at least division winners. I'm going to give you my NFC predictions up next. Okay, the toughest division in football, the NFC West. I think the Seattle Seahawks will win the division. I think the Rams and the 49ers and the Cardinals are all going to give the Seattle Seahawks a run for their money. I wouldn't be surprised if every team in the division has at least one win. They all split each game against each other because it's just that good of a division. Seattle, I think, will ultimately win it because Russell Westbrook is happy with the Seahawks. The Seahawks listened to him this offseason when he basically pled and said, "Please let me have a say in what happens in the organization." And I think that they have granted that wish, and I think the Seattle Seahawks are going to be a great team, especially as the season progresses. I think the Rams will give them a run for their money, so I do give the Rams finishing in second in the division because they looked good against the Bears, but again, they looked good against the Bears with the Bears not having their quarterback out there on the field. Andy Dalton is like a statue, can't really move, and just that little stuff with Justin Fields, like is he going to play, is he not going to play, kind of helped the Rams win that game, so the Rams looked really good. But the Rams, their defense was first in the league last year. I don't think it's going to be first in the league again this year. I think they will be top 3 though, but the Rams will give the Seattle Seahawks a run for their money. Also, the 49ers are going through another quarterback issue. When is Trey Lance going to play? Is he ever going to play this season, and so forth? And I just think the Cardinals are just kind of stuck in the middle. They're stuck in such a great division that they're going to be last, even though they don't deserve to be last in their division. Anyways, so the Seattle Seahawks will win the NFC West. The NFC North, the Packers are going to win it by default. The Bears quarterback situation, who knows when Justin Fields is going to play. The Vikings, Kirk Cousins, I loved him a couple years ago. Now he's kind of annoying me just because he is not really a great quarterback, to be honest. Detroit, again, someone help them, please. They have no direction. They got Jared Goff, and Jared Goff is a good quality quarterback, but he can't do it by himself. And in Detroit, he's literally by himself. So the Packers are going to win it by default. I do believe the Packers will probably win 11 games just by natural default because they're probably going to beat up on Detroit and Minnesota just in general. So I think that the Packers are going to win it by default. NFC South, the Bucks, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, are going to win the NFC South because they're the defending Super Bowl champions and because their defense is going to get better as the season progresses. And Tom Brady is just a smart quarterback. He knows how to manipulate anything and everything. The Saints will be competing for the division, but ultimately we all know the Bucks are going to win the division. The Falcons, they've been a mess the past couple of years. I don't really see a direction for them. Keeping Matt Ryan is doing them, in my opinion, more harm than good because he's kind of regressed since his MVP season. And the Panthers obviously are just kind of stuck in that division and, they're just kind of there. So the NFC South champions will be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The NFC East, the Cowboys are going to win again by default because it's such a bad division as well. Now, the Cowboys, in my opinion, are going to win 9 to 10 games. Again, they do have an extra game this year, so I originally was going to say 9 to 10 originally, but I'm just going to keep it 9 to 10. Just because I think they will beat up on the Eagles and the Giants. The Redskins, they may split a game or two with them, but I think they will beat up on most of their division. And I think that, Dak Prescott is really going to try to prove a lot. Again, he threw 58 times against the Buccaneers and was pretty efficient with his throwing. So I think Dak is going to throw about 40 to 50 times a game, which could be a good thing or a bad thing, but I think Dak he's gotten better and he's going to try to prove himself this year, try to prove himself that he is worth his contract. So the Cowboys are going to win mostly by default, but also because Dak is just going to be amazing. So anyways, those are my NFL predictions. Up next is going to be a new segment that I'm going to call Chris's Pick 6, and I'm going to give you my 6 teams to bet on. Obviously, if you're 21 years or older, you're going to watch this segment and just kind of enjoy it and hear my opinions on the NFL games for Sundays. For Sunday schedule. Okay, this is a segment that is new And I'm going to use it during the NFL season, at least for the next couple of weeks, or as long as I do this. I'm going to try to do this once a week. But I know I'm filming late, so if you do watch this before Sunday's games, please take this into consideration. Anyways, this is the Chris Pick 6. So first, I have Cincinnati versus the Bears, and the plus minus is 1.5. I'm actually going to go with Cincinnati plus 1.5. I do believe Cincinnati is going to walk away Chicago with a win. Now, I say this because Chicago has not figured out their quarterback situation, and it looked ugly during the Bears game last Sunday against the Rams. I do believe Cincinnati is playing good. Joe Burrow has his receiver from college, from back in his college days, and I do believe that he's coming out and he's playing really well. Again, usually in the NFL, bad teams do good early on as the good teams are kind of just figuring themselves out and so forth. So I do believe Cincinnati will win this, and I'm betting to take the plus 1.5 for Cincinnati. Anyways, number 2, Houston versus Cleveland. Now, the line currently, as of an hour ago, was minus 13.5 for Cleveland. I will take the minus 13.5 because Cleveland is at home and Houston has really nothing going for them. I know they won their first game, but Cleveland's at home and OBJ's not playing, and typically Baker Mayfield plays better when OBJ doesn't play. So I'm going to go with Cleveland blowing this out with minus 13.5 over Houston. Number 3, the 49ers versus the Eagles. Now, the betting line is minus 3 plus 3. I'm going to go with the 49ers going minus 3. I do believe the 49ers will win by at least a touchdown or by 10 points. The 49ers have been playing great. Their defense is solid. I do believe they will be able to hold Jalen Hurts. Philadelphia Eagles won week 1. But again, I do believe they beat a bad team, or a team that, isn't contending for anything this year. I forgot who it was, but the 49ers will take care of business. I think Jimmy G will take care of business against the Eagles. So I'm going with the 49ers minus 3. Detroit versus Green Bay. I'm going to go with Detroit plus 12.5, and I'm still going with Green Bay winning the game. I think Green Bay is going to win close. I think Green Bay is going to win by 10 points or 7 points. Just because they struggled last week against the Saints. That scared me because they only scored 3 points and literally lost by 35 points. I do believe Green Bay is going to play a better game. They are at home, but I do give Detroit a close game because Green Bay is still going through some drama, but I think Green Bay will take a win here. So I will go with Detroit plus 12.5. Number 5, Atlanta versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm going to go with Atlanta plus 12.5, but I'm going to give the Tampa Bay Bucks the win. I do believe, similar to Green Bay, the Bucks are going to win close by 7 or 10 points. And I do believe that the Bucks right now are trying to figure themselves out. So their defense may be a little wobbly. Tom Brady may or may not throw an interception in this game. I'm going to give him an interception in this game. I do believe Atlanta is going to stay in this game till the very end. But I think the Bucks will have a late game drive that's ultimately going to win them the game. So I'm going to take Atlanta plus 12.5. My last game is the Patriots versus the Jets. Now the line as of an hour ago was minus 6 plus 6. I'm going to go with the Patriots going minus 6. Bill Belichick has a history of just destroying the Jets first. And second, he has a history of just owning rookie quarterbacks. Zach Wilson has no one to throw the ball to. And the Patriots got a lot of their defensive players who opted out last year back. So I do believe they will give Zach Wilson some problems. And I do believe that the Patriots will win by at least 14 to 20 points tomorrow against the Jets. Anyways, those are my betting odds. You can see them up here as well. I will be showing them up here at some point. But anyways, those are my Chris Pick 6. Again, this is for people 21 years and older. And if you view this before the 12 o'clock games on Sunday. Anyways, I will also talk about these games in my next episode when I film next week to tell you if I was right or wrong and where I went wrong or where I went right and so forth. Anyways, this is the end of my episode. I really, really hope you enjoyed it. I'm back. I'm excited to be back, and I'm hoping to film at least once a week. Anyways, enjoy NFL Sunday. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. Keep up with the show by clicking the subscribe button to get the latest from the show. Also, turn on the notifications to know when a new episode is posted. Thank you.